Henry will answer questions. He's not going to get into conversation with each and every questioner because we've all got things to do and you need to file and so on and so forth. So, given you have your hand up first, Michael. Mr. Brick.
Hi.
Mr. Bolton, you've worked for the EU.
Yes.
You stood as a Lib Dem. You look like a Tory. Are you not the establishment mole sent in to tame UKIP?
I think if you speak to the European Union and the External Action Service, if you speak to the Secretary General of the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, if you speak to Bernard Kouchner, who is the UN Secretary General in Kosovo, I think they will all tell you that I am absolutely not establishment. I am somebody who will absolutely want to find the problem and the best solution, and not kowtow to the dogma of any organisation. So, no, I'm not the establishment figure there.
Romilly?
Can I start? Mr. Bolton, can you last longer than your predecessors? And hasn't UKIP lost its point post-Brexit?
Oh, that's two questions. First question, yes, I can. If you look at some of the things I've done, I think you will see a certain degree of endurance there, both physical, emotional, and political. If you sit and try and run a local government in Kosovo with Serbs and Albanians part of that, then you've got to have some thick skin and you've got to have some endurance on the political and diplomatic front. So I think I've got the endurance there, yes. We can also speak to the US Marine Corps about it. So the second question was, what's the value of UKIP post-Brexit? I said in my acceptance speech just now that Brexit does not end the day that we leave the European Union. It is about 17.4 million people voted to leave the European Union in order to be able to control our own destiny as a nation, as a country. And that is in order, in my view, so that we can actually control our own destiny in terms of being a globally outward-looking nation, a trading nation, a prosperous nation, an optimistic and secure nation, and a nation that is actually proud to be called British. Now, I know Austria quite well. The Austrians are very proud to be Austrian, and they are recognised as that. So why on earth can't we? We can be proud to be British as well, but we have to take control of our own destiny, and we have to build that prosperity and welfare and security for our people.
Next one, Ross.
Mr. Bolton, Ross from Guido. Are you going to kick out Anne-Marie Waters, and what do you do about the rump of supporters that are now remaining in the party who clearly didn't support you in this election and take quite a different view from the policy platform as you've outlined?
I am going to have conversations with all of the other candidates in the coming days. If they want to have conversations, then I'm going to have conversations with them. And of course, the answer to your question is going to be partly based on the outcome of those conversations. Now, I know that's probably not the answer that you're looking for, but that's the only answer that I'm in a position to give at the moment. And in terms of the different elements within the party, of course, there were 7 candidates, and different people voted for different candidates. And that's to be expected. It's the same in any election. Now, honestly, it is a matter for them as to whether they want to remain in the party, whether they want to unite, what they want to do. That's a decision for them. But again, as I said earlier, one of my main tasks now is going to be to unite the party and move forward. So I'm not going to be focused on the divisions in the party, I'm going to be focused on the unity of the party.
Okay. Harsh Singh from PF.
Hi, you warned during the campaign that UKIP was becoming the UK Nazi party. Do you think that's been avoided today? And did Nigel Farage play any role in your campaign behind closed doors?
Last question first, not as far as I'm aware. Nigel Mark was my political referee. He was at pains to say that that was not a public endorsement of my candidature, but it was kind of him to be my political referee. Sorry, remind me of the first question.
Has the UKIP avoided becoming the UK Nazi party today?
Absolutely, yes. Now, the fact of the matter is that there are issues in all sorts of areas of work that need to be discussed and resolved within our society. And I think it's right and proper that people have concerns, that we do discuss them and we allay them in whatever the most appropriate way is. So, but absolutely, I think the party has today voted for a leader who has been very open about what he feels is the way forward, and that's myself. But I think that therein lies your answer. That is what the members of the party have voted for.
lots of people have said to me that you don't have the personality of taking the party through, perhaps with Nigel Farage.
Correct.
Are you just a caretaker leader for now?
No, I'm not. No, I'm here until the next leadership race in 4 years, and it links in with the earlier question about have you got staying power. The personality thing. I'm not Nigel. None of us are Nigel. None of you are Nigel. Nigel is Nigel, and I'm not going to try and fill his boots. I have my own style. I have my own personality, and I think you will see that emerge. Some of you maybe perhaps know me a little bit, and you know that when I'm standing up on the platform, then I'm quite firm in my approach. But actually, get me like Nigel in the bar with a beer, and I like a laugh and a joke, and I'm just as convivial as he is, I think. So,
Peter Walker from the Guardian.
Hi. Whilst obviously you're a very different political creature from Andrew Waters, when I saw your one hustings, you did say you thought Islam had too much influence on Britain. Is it your plan to, in your own way, steer UKIP towards a more kind of culturally conservative, nationalistic point of view?
I've been very public about Britain, preserving the British way of life, and that includes our communities, all of our communities. This is not about Islam. I think, as I've just said, that Islam is of concern, and the nature of Islam and the practices of the religion are such that they tend to have a more dominating effect than in a community where there's a large Muslim population than the Christian community, because as you will know, Christianity has, people are not particularly active, most people, in practicing their Christian faith. And what I'm saying is that there is an issue to be discussed, and we need to do that in partnership with the Muslim community of Britain. We don't need to be confronting anyone. I absolutely abhor the rhetoric that says we are at war with Islam, or anything that indicates as such. And frankly, I think from now on, my concern will be the people raising the question rather than the people giving the answer. My platform is a broad one for delivering to the British people across the base. It is not focused on Islam, and I would quite like all of you, please, if I may ask, to move away from the focus on Islam. We've had an election, we've got a leader whose position is quite clear on these things, and I think we ought to focus on delivering for Britain writ large, not on discussing the Islamic question.
Right.
Chris,
you said Nigel is Nigel. What are your plans for Nigel, please?
I think just before you came in...
I know we weren't told about the conference, but we were late, sorry.
Right, no, don't worry. Somebody asked about some other candidates, and I'm going to have conversations with a lot of people now. That's my priority. And in doing so, I'll have a conversation with Nigel about some thoughts that I have as to how he might continue to contribute towards the party and towards the country.
And what are those thoughts?
I'm going to share those with Nigel, not yourself, until I've spoken to Nigel first.
Okay.
I'm Benny Half-Close. Just to take you back, sorry to use that question slightly.
I knew you would.
The 2017 manifesto, a big part of that was the integration agenda.
Right.
Do you agree with the integration agenda that's put forward? Would you keep that as one of the central tenets of UKIP's policy with you as leader?
Certainly not as it is now. Just to qualify that, and I think we need to look at the integration of all immigrant communities into this country, but having an integration policy or agenda that focuses on one immigrant community, I think is wrong.
Jim Wilson.
Congratulations on your victory. I'm intrigued, if you're putting forward a broader policy spectrum, where do you view UKIP's role on social matters? Specifically, do you think that the campaign for transgender rights has gone too far in this country?
What I have a problem with, or a difficulty with, I should say, is that we should all have a voice in that debate. And if somebody feels that it has gone too far, they should be free to express that concern. What concerns me more than anything else at the moment in that debate is that there is an effort to silence any dissenting voice. And I don't think that is in keeping with the principle of freedom of speech, and I think we should all enter into the debate sensibly.
And your personal view?
It's about the party's view. I don't really, quite honestly, I think it is getting a bit far when we are encouraging children, in some cases, to question their own sexuality. I think that is certainly going too far.
Richard Porritt from the Press. You see you campaign against extremism on the left and the right.
Yes.
But a lot of your party members voted for Anne-Marie Waters, so how do you unify the party?
But most of them, or a larger number, voted for me.
But a lot didn't.
Yeah, and I was talked about that earlier.
Are they all going to leave now?
They are people who are in UKIP for a number of reasons, and Brexit is one of those reasons, belief in their country is another reason, and I believe that there is plenty of scope to unite most of the party. Now, if there are some people who don't agree with where the party goes or where I go, then they will have to make decisions accordingly.
Should they leave?
That's a question for them. It's not a question for me. I want a united party.
Do you have a relationship with anybody in the Trump world, and is that something you'd like to pursue, any channels?
No, I don't. I know a lot of people in the US military and the US government, but I don't know anybody, the civil service, the State Department and so on, but I don't know anybody in the Trump administration. I'm happy to meet with anyone.
Kate Ferguson, Mayor Online. I missed the beginning of the press conference, so everybody mentioned this, but if Anne-Marie had have won, do you think that would have split the party, and would you have gone in that circumstance?
It's hypothetical.
It is, yeah.
We're not in that situation.
Okay, fine.
It's not an exciting answer.
Do you think you could have had a narrow, they've narrowly avoided splits here? I mean,
no, I think I won by a fairly decisive number.
Dan Bloom from the Daily Mirror. Apologies if this came up again as well. Do you like UKIP's new logo, or do you think you've been lumped with it? And do you think it's a rip-off of the Premier League's logo?
You're going to be terribly disappointed with this. I have no idea at the moment what the Premier League's logo looks like.
It looks like an EU.
Well, thank you. I will have a look at that. Another conversation that I might have to have. But as it is, I'm personally fine with it. But you know what? I want a united party, and I want that party to have a clear identity. And the members this afternoon here at conference voted quite decisively that they like that vote, the logo. And I think that's the start point for me as their leader. I said on my acceptance speech that my ethos is one of serving the party to lead. Now that doesn't mean dictating what the logo should or should not be. I want the members to feel comfortable with their identity, and that logo is a critical part of that identity.
So you're going to keep it? You're going to keep the logo?
Discussion for later.
Reviewing. Henry Mann, Financial Times. Do you intend on seeking elected office as a councillor or another role, and can you afford to be UKIP leader if you don't have another job?
Good Lord. Last question first. Yes. First question last.
Wait, explain it, please.
You want to be MP?
All right. Yeah, will I seek elected office? Give me a chance. I've just won this election. Let's not talk about the next one that I'm going to be standing in.
You're happy for this role not to be paid?
At the moment, yes. Yes. I mean, party leaders are not generally paid. Now, I have got various ways that I will have to look at my income. That's true. And I make no claims about that. I've been public about that. But it's not a paid post, and I came into this knowing it wasn't a paid post.
What do you do for a living, Mr. What's your job then, your day job?
I'm a consultant, security and strategic border management and things around that.
What's the company called?
No, it's not a company, it's me.
Are you going to be a lot more willing to crack down on dissent? People who sit in the party who say things you don't like?
Anybody who's not asked a question, yes. Like
He
dissent.
asked to.
Dissent, I know. Precisely, but I'm going to crack down on dissent. No,
You were sharp off the mark there, weren't you?
Carry on.
Look, one of the concerns I have is that the Constitution and the rules of procedure have not necessarily been applied consistently or clearly. And that doesn't help in any regard. And if any political party is advocating the efficient enforcement of the rule of law generally, then it certainly should be complying with its own constitution and its own rules of procedure. So I will certainly expect the party to do so. And if you have a read of them, Michael, I suspect you've already read them, but they're quite clear on a number of points in terms of prescribed organisations, behaviour, acting in a manner prejudicial to any individual or group based on their race, religion, ethnicity, or anything else. So I expect that to be upheld, and as leader, I will certainly want to enforce those rules.
Sepe,
Hi, Henry. It's Fasten from the Financial Times. Alan Banks has tweeted about your victory. This is great news. I'm sure myself and Nigel want to re-engage with the party. Would you welcome Aaron donations and what have you back to UKIP?
Let me answer the question this way. The party, as you all know, needs to build a firm financial base. And any donors are going to be welcome in that regard. However, what I would like is what I want is a party that is clear in the direction that it wishes to pursue, and that donors support that position, and for that reason provide it with the resources that it needs to go forward. So that's, you know, and I will absolutely be very happy to have that conversation with Aaron Banks or any other donors on that basis.
Okay.
But thank you. Thank you. I didn't know you tweeted, Aaron, but thank you.
Do you think it was wrong? Do you think Paul Nuttall's focus during the general election banning the vote?
I think the party learned some lessons about fighting that general election.
What do you think? Do you think the vote should be banned?
I'm a former police officer, and there is an issue with full face coverings. Identifying one particular form of dress does not solve a security problem. So that's my answer to that.
So you're against or in favour?
Hold on, two more questions and that's closed. People who haven't spoken already, Chris.
Hello, Patrick. I've got the Holden Mail and Grimsby Telegraph. In the past, places like Great Grimsby have been a massive target for UKIP and targeted disenfranchised Labour supporters. Will the party still be following that route under your leadership?
I missed the beginning of your question, I'm sorry.
Seats like Great Grimsby were massive targets for UKIP in previous general elections. They're targeting disenfranchised Labour supporters. Will you still be following that route?
No, one of the things I mentioned earlier that I want to professionalise the party, and we need to get a lot better at our strategic planning, our campaign planning, and our actual campaigning. And that is an area of work that I really need to look at. And what seats one targets has to be based upon a sound analysis of one's own political strengths and weaknesses, but also those of the opponents that you're going to take on in that election. And it is on that analysis that, first of all, that analysis has to be good, thorough, and professional. And it is then on the product of that analysis that we will then decide on what seats are target seats and so on.
And last question. Anybody else has spoken before? You've had two already.
How long do you think you're going to last this for?
Somebody's already asked that question. A long time. I'm only 54, for God's sake. The tenure is 4 years, and I certainly intend to be here for that period of time. Ask me in the run-up to that leadership contest whether or not I'm going to enter it. Then you know, closer to the time. It's a bit early to say.
Thank you very much all for your patience.
Thank you. Cheers.